Pizza time. Pizza time. Pizza time.
You like? Hey everybody, welcome back to Pizza Time, the weekly podcast serving up your TV, podcast, movie, gaming news, all that stuff. But this week it's not about any of that. This week it's all about a
Say it
tiny
as
little movie called
small.
Spider-Man: No Way Home. It is out, ladies and gentlemen. It's finally out. Spoilers ahead because this is going to be a very heavy spoilery episode. But getting right into it, everything you read was true. Everything you read was true. Matt Murdock, Tobey Maguire,
Everything.
Andrew Garfield, they're
Oh
all
yeah.
there. They're back.
And
And
more, dude. We're
so
gonna get into it.
much
Oh my
more.
god, there was so much
So yeah,
more,
we're
dude.
gonna jump right in. We usually have our news section where the past few episodes actually been talking about No Way Home, just speculation and some other things. But today, this episode's only about No Way Home. We'll cover some maybe Doctor Strange stuff since the trailer did
Oh,
drop at the
we
end
gotta
of the
get to it
post
a little
credit
bit.
scene. It's just a tad
We'll
bit,
get
but
into it.
we're gonna jump right in here, and I'm gonna toss it over to my co-host Ed. What'd you think? Give me your first reactions.
Oh, dude, it's so easy, dude. I mean, all I could say is that I fucking I said this in my Instagram story right after the movie. I laughed, I cried, I cheered, I yelled, I went through this spectrum of emotion in this movie, and it just delivered everything again, like you said, everything that everyone was expecting, and then some. The things that and that's what really made this movie special is that they didn't quit at our expectations. They went
Yeah,
above it in every single facet. And this is coming from someone who didn't love the original or the first two the two parts
trilogy,
of the home
the
trilogy.
home, yeah,
Yeah, the Tom Holland. I didn't love those first two. I thought they were fine.
yeah.
But this one just fucking took it to the next level, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. I never reacted like this in a theater. I think ever, to be honest.
Yeah,
How about you? How about you?
first of all, yeah, I loved it as well. The I would pretty much agree with everything you said and the spectrum of emotions that you go through, and I, I I didn't expect the first big oh crap moment to just pop right up and it be Matt Murdock, and
Yes.
as soon as you see the cane, like what a great shot, and then you end
Yeah.
his little scene catching a freaking brick and then saying I'm a
Yeah.
really good lawyer. Come on,
It's
man.
so good.
Come
And
on.
he's on screen for, I mean, and that moment was so
A minute.
short too.
Yeah, he's
Nailed
there,
it.
and he's just there to
Less than
say,
2 minutes.
"Welcome back," and it
Less than three.
obviously it Marvel's so great at what they do. It obviously is gonna perfectly coincide with Kingpin's big reveal on this coming episode of Hawkeye. If you haven't caught up on
Yeah.
Hawkeye yet,
Yeah.
spoilers there, but, watch your stuff. Anyway, but it starts there, and then it just kinda just builds and builds and builds, and you see Doc Ock, and that kinda whole first fight with Doc Ock is actually very funny, and then it gets very
It
serious
is.
very quick as soon as you see the Goblin glider, and you're just like, "Oh, man," and then to see Willem Dafoe, holy hell, he brought it in just a way you
Space,
just
dude.
you just, like it just made me want I just wanted to go back and watch Spider-Man 1. I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh my
exactly.
gosh, he's so good." And then, of course, all the villains were great, but
Yeah,
the cherry on top is absolutely
obviously.
you know, Andrew Garfield, he comes in first,
Go
and you
first,
just
and
like
then
at that moment in time,
Toby.
Toby's coming in next,
Let
and
let let can we start there? Let's just start
let's
with the thing
let's
that
start
everyone wants
there.
to talk about.
So okay, let's
Andrew
start
and
there.
Toby's reveal.
What did
Holy
you think of the
shit,
reveal?
man. That's perfect. It's
Perfect.
perfect
Okay.
because and I love the setup because it wasn't a scene when it starts off, which is where Ned and
MJ.
MJ
Yeah.
are just sitting in Ned's home with his Lola. By the way, that's a whole nother thing. I want to talk about the Tagalog and the Filipino shit was great. But it starts off in a scene where you don't expect that this is the scene they're going to show
Right.
up at all.
I
You you
exactly.
you you don't expect it at all, and I love that. It's a lower key scene. You kind of expect it's like an end game situation where it's the final act, and right at the nick, right before the clock hits doomsday, and then that's when they come in. But no, this is it's a much quieter moment, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Ned gets to show his little magic powers, and that's how they get them in, and it
How
was
how crazy was
ah
your theater
so
going?
good.
How
Oh,
crazy
dude,
was your theater
I
going?
couldn't hear shit. I
Yeah,
couldn't hear a goddamn thing for
which
at least 2 minutes.
we'll get to that a little later
Yeah.
on.
And I've
But
done something, by the way, I've never done in a theater, which I told you, is
yeah,
it wasn't for Andrew, although I loved Andrew. I was yelling,
right.
but Toby, I stood up, like, I stood up, I just cheered, I just clapped my hands, I started crying.
Hit
I didn't give a fuck. I was just so, I could not believe it. I stood up and I
Toby's
cheered, and god damn.
Toby's little wave was so
Oh,
just like I was just like, he's back. It's back. This is the perfect Peter Parker is back. He's still goofy. He's still nerdy. He's still that, you know, has that stupid
he's the guy.
optimism, even though he's
Yes.
been beat to shit so many times. And like
Yeah.
it was just embodied in that like little 5 minute clip. Hi, I was actually looking for that guy. Do you know where he would be? Because he wants to go help him. He wants to go talk to him.
Yeah.
That's why he's to me, he's the pinnacle Spider-Man. And there will
100%.
never be another pinnacle of that. But yeah, I think I like the scene. It took me a while to come around on it. Um, it being like perfect. I agree with you. It's perfect. Obviously, I love the scene when they, but I almost when I left the movie, I thought, man, I kind of wish Toby was revealed on the rooftop. Toby or Andrew when it's raining
Oh,
and he's
when
watching J. Jonah Jameson and
yeah,
his world is
yeah.
over. And I thought,
That's
oh
when he
man,
can come in.
that's when he could come in. And then you
Yeah.
know I still would have had Tom. Sorry, I would have had Ned and MJ
MJ.
meet the Garfield Spider-Man, and
Spider-Man.
Toby Spider-Man, and then Toby be with Tom, walking him through it. Because I think that would have been quite like a scene where I just you're at his bottom, and then you would have seen him come in. You just would have. I feel like the moment would have been even better. But I do agree with you now. The more time I've thought about it, and I think upon second watching, you've already seen it twice, but upon
I
second and
have.
third watching, I'll like it more and more, and I'll appreciate it more and more. And I agree. I think it's really well done. And then when they get to the rooftop where he's at, crying, and they both
Yeah.
see him, and then they both start to say, that's what my Uncle Ben
Mm.
said, and they both
Mm.
go through. Here's my mistakes. I I lost Gwen. I wasn't able to save her. And he goes, I lost Uncle Ben. And out of rage, this is what I did. And they they show him what it means to be Spider-Man. And for the
Exactly. That's
first
exactly
movie,
it.
this is the first movie where he finally doesn't have everything. He doesn't have an easy answer for it. And there's some people say, "Oh, well, you didn't have Stark in No Way Home," but you know what? Like the whole world lost Tony Stark. You know,
Yeah, the whole world lost. Yeah, exactly.
it's not just it wasn't just Peter Parker in this series. The whole world lost Tony Stark. And here he finally has the moments where he learns that listen, you can't save everybody, kid. You
Yeah,
you have to do the best you can, and sometimes you're still gonna lose. But that's the
exactly.
point. That's Spider-Man. You still have to be hopeful. And yeah, I'm going on because I
No,
think
no, no. You're fine. I'm
that's really where the movie
100%
came
agree with you.
together for me.
A
I
hundred
really
percent.
I really liked Act One and like two and a half. Till Toby, and I thought it was like, oh, well, this is really well crafted and it's good and it's moving along pretty well. You're obviously pulling your hair out when he brings when he brings the villains back to
The
Happy's
boy, the
condo.
band,
Yeah, and I was just like, oh no,
the
don't do
villain
that.
band.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, the movie, the second half of the movie just kind of nailed what it means to be
yeah,
Spider-Man. The
exactly.
emotion, the you know this like I said with Toby, the silly optimism that's still there. It still had moments of absolute hilarity when they point at each other and when they're in the gym classroom, essentially, working on cures for each of these
Oh,
villains.
it's those
It
all
was,
every one of those like the little vignettes of talk there were
yeah,
perfect,
yeah, it was
and
all
everyone
so
gets
well
something.
done. Yeah,
Everyone in that room gets
MJ,
something.
Ned, Peter,
Yeah,
and Peter.
there's a lot to
Um,
break down there too.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I just wanted to
Keep
jump
going.
on what you said
Yes,
there
yes.
about that scene on the rooftop, because I think it's exactly the magic of this film, because that scene in of itself, and the whole movie in general really does this, but that movie that scene particularly
Hmm.
almost gave an entirely new context to the home trilogy in and of itself, and
Mm,
all and actually kind of it actually retro healed some of the qualms I had about the first two films, which was that we
Mm,
had a very younger Spider-Man who was making really stupid decisions, and this is
yeah.
like, this is not my Spider-Man. But when you what this movie did was really put a cap and an exclamation point saying this is a Peter Parker. This is the MCU origin story still, these three films for
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
That's what they
Unlike the
did.
first unlike
Yes.
the first two, where the first movies in those respective IPs were basically the origin story, and then we jumped
Right.
off from there. But
Right.
this whole trilogy now, after watching this film, is pretty clear. This is Tom Holland's origin story.
Yeah.
And so I can now kind of forgive a little bit about the young stupid mistakes he was making in the
Yeah.
first two films a little more, because it ends up right in this moment,
Yeah.
which is what I've been wanting so badly
Yeah.
in this trilogy for so long. The moment where you go, he learns, oh, this is what it means to
Is
be
to be
fucking
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Right.
That sacrifice is all
Yeah.
a part of it,
Yeah.
and that inevitably, you will not ever get everything you want,
Right.
and it's, the choice the
Right.
choice is up to you, though, and
Right.
that you can still make it better,
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
even if it doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
And that was really the moment I was like, oh fuck, they got it. And
Yeah.
it makes me go like, okay, they understood it this whole time. It's just that it's just not the story they were trying to tell, though,
Yeah.
in the first two. And so I kind of hit myself in the head going, okay, maybe I was being a bit of a dick. And I
Well,
did rewatch the
I
first two before it too, and I actually liked them a little more
I liked.
because I
Yeah.
got that out of my head. So
I did like
yeah.
Far From Home the second time I watched it much more than the
Hmm.
first time. And I
Sure.
watched the first time with you. I remember we were in the theater together and
We
like
did. I
we
forgot
like
about that. Yeah.
grabbed each other when we saw Jamie Lee
Yes.
Jameson. But that was like the only moment of that
Yes.
movie where we were like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Yeah. Right.
but I still really don't like Homecoming. I've rewatched it a
Okay.
few times now.
Yeah. You said you rewatched it.
It's not really, it just doesn't land for me. I don't know what it is.
It's all, to me again. I didn't like it either. Like I wouldn't say I didn't like it. Like they're both fine movies, but I
Yeah.
think what it was all about perspective.
Yeah.
It's again,
But
it wasn't the Spider-Man I think that we were hoping it would be. But when
right.
I rewatched it for the whole sake of this,
Hmm.
to cap the trilogy, I was like, just take all that out of your mind, and let's just try to watch the movie as unbiased as possible without
Hmm.
being, forget you're an immense Spider-Man fan, goddamn,
Right.
and that you love Tobey Maguire and no one else will ever amount to him.
Right. Of course.
It's actually, and it's a fine movie. It's a when it because it is trying to be just like a high school film,
Yeah.
quirky and all that. That's where I think the film actually really does shine. I find it very entertaining.
Yeah.
As a Spider-Man film, again, you're right.
A
It's
little bit. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
But
I guess it isn't trying to be that, though. Again,
yeah.
when you recontextualize it in the sense that
Yeah.
he's not really Spider-Man yet,
Yeah.
then you can kind of enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah. I
You know?
think this movie, like you said, was, and as you said that, it kind of clicked in my head a little bit more like, oh, if you go back and you pair these movies together as one giant origin story, yeah, it's not that you're right. It actually works out really well. You realize he makes mistakes in the first one, then he makes a little less mistakes in the second one, and he has to sort of learn what it's like to be without Tony Stark, but he still has to, he still has all this crap.
Right.
And now it's all gone.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
And now he is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Now he
And
gets
I,
it.
and I, and the thing I think the thing that really got us on a misleading path when it came to Tom Holland being Spider-Man was that in Civil War, when he was introduced, that scene where they introduced him in the apartment with Tony Stark, I thought was also perfect because
Mhm.
he says that line. He says the line where you think, "Oh, that's Spider-Man," where he
Right.
goes, when something along the lines of, when the bad things happen and you don't do anything about it, or something like that, it's
Right.
on you.
Right.
Right? That's almost another way of saying with great power comes
Comes
great
great
responsibility.
responsibility. Right.
So, and I thought that was beautiful. And I was like, oh, there you go. Okay. So
Yeah.
he gets it, right?
Oh,
He gets it. So now I can expect, everything he does from now on based
yeah.
around that. And he loses that in
Right.
Homecoming and in
And
Far From
Far From
Home.
Home.
And so you go, and I was left there going, okay, I'm a little confused. I just thought maybe was a little more mature
Right.
than he was because of that scene.
I
But,
think
whatever.
the up until this movie, I think the Russos have handled Spider-Man better than John Watts up until
Sure.
this movie.
Yes.
Um, yeah, again, I think this movie is, as you said, it's the culmination of Spider-Man's origin story. Now we know where he is in the MCU, and I am very excited to see where it goes in the fourth, fifth, and sixth
Dude, the
one.
way it ends and the way the movie ends with him in the
Oh,
comic accurate scoot,
yeah,
like the
yeah.
what?
I mean,
Oh my god,
how similar is
that's
that
awesome.
apartment looking to the Spider-Man
So
PS4 game?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, the one in
Think
the
about it.
game.
Watch the
Yes,
game.
true.
Go play the
Yeah.
opening scene of the game, and it's almost the same exact suit. And now
Uh,
he doesn't have the Stark suit. He doesn't have any of the Stark tech.
yeah.
It's
All
going
of
to
it's
be
gone.
so much better.
Yeah.
And
See, and that's the thing. That's why I was like, oh, okay. So were you guys planning to do this all along? Because
yeah,
yeah, all of our worries about the last two movies were like, oh, why does he need Tony's stuff? Like
right. And I've said this
he's so
before
good
to
without
you.
him. He doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
like this is like the first two movies were Tony Stark's problems. They weren't
Yes.
villains he created. They're Tony
Yes.
Stark's villains. They're
Yes.
not his. And
And
at this point we
yeah.
have to get past that. And I mean we sort of did in this movie, not really, but they're technically Toby and Andrew's villains.
For
But
the most part, yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
They're still Spider-Man villains though.
they
That's the
are
thing. They're
Spider-Man
still
villains. Good point.
Spider-Man villains, not
Yeah, I
Tony
think
Stark villains.
this movie really kind of serves as the soft reboot to
It really
what I
does.
think hardcore Spider-Man fans want. I mean, obviously, I think there's a younger generation that like loves Tom Holland no matter what he does, and
Yes.
I mean, trust me,
100%.
there were a lot of screaming girls in my screening.
Oh,
It
dude,
was pretty
yes.
funny. I was like, Jesus, they're holy hell. Was Toby this popular? He definitely wasn't.
No, I
Um,
don't think so.
and so they're
No.
they're gonna love him no matter what. But now
Yes.
you're gonna have more hardcore fans, the people like us who are nerds
Yes.
and talk on podcasts about stuff, that are gonna
Yeah.
appreciate the movies more. And I think they just Sony and Marvel just knocked it out of the park.
They knocked it out of the freaking park with this one, dude.
I
They
don't
just hit
know.
every button correctly.
Right?
There's
Yeah,
not one part of this movie where I'm like, I don't really like that bit.
yeah. I can't say there's
Every
anything
part.
I really don't like about the movie, which is
Me either.
very strange for me to say coming out of a movie.
I agree.
I'm not gonna say
I agree.
anything's perfect, but
No, absolutely not.
but
There's
just
so
there's
many
little
narrative holes.
flaws. There's
There's
quite a few.
so
And
many
you know what?
holes. We
I'll-
can get into them, but Jesus,
yeah,
and there's a lot of holes once we start talking about it. But
yeah.
you know,
Let's do just a little bit of a chat on what we think is next for Spider-Man. There's been a lot of talk about, um, Tom Holland keeps talking, says he wants to start a family. He's 25 years
oh
old.
my god, all
Like,
these, yeah,
Kevin Feige has already said
super
Spider-Man 4
young.
is in development. They're not
Yeah.
just gonna show this and then recast you. So also go ask, Robert Downey Jr. I'm sure he'd tell you, listen, kid, you're on top of the world right now. Take a year off. I'm sure you're tired. It's been it's been a hell of like what,
It's
six
a
years?
long, yeah,
You've
it's
been
been a
in
long
what?
ride.
Civil War, Infinity
Infinity
War,
War, Endgame,
Endgame,
Far From
Homecoming,
Home.
Far From Home. No way. You've been in 6 movies in this last like 6 years. So yeah, you deserve a break.
It's been
Go
a long
take a
time.
break.
Yeah,
Go take a year off. Let some of the other Marvel movies start to fill out, and then we'll see
yeah.
you again. Um, what do you think is next for Tom Holland in the Spider-Man No Way Home trilogy? And then what do you think is next? Second part for Andrew and Toby. Do you think this
Oh
is
my
one and done,
god.
or because
Okay.
I have my opinions, but you go first.
Okay. Okay. No, okay, I'll start with the Tom Holland stuff. No, he's not. I mean, he's clearly not done. No, 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 no. He still has one more film, even outside the next
Right.
trilogy. He has one more appearance,
He's obligated to make one
contracted
appearance. Yes,
in an MCU film specifically,
correct.
which will probably be who knows, but probably
Yeah,
the next Avengers, if anything. I think that would be the smartest move if
I would
really that's
agree.
all he has on the contract.
Yeah,
But then I mean, there's still the Sony verse that he could still make appearances in, which I feel like they've half promised.
right.
In either Morbius or in Venom or whatever else they're planning for. I'm sure they'll do something there. Who knows? But they've been badly teasing Miles Morales in the
Yeah,
MCU
yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
particularly here with Electro.
Thought
Here
you'd be
he's like,
black
that was, which was such a funny moment, dude. I thought you were gonna
yeah.
be black, and he's like, "But I'm sure there's a black Spider-Man out there." Oh, yep,
Somewhere. Yeah,
there, hell yeah, there is a
yeah,
black Spider-Man out
yeah,
there. So I
yeah.
think this next trilogy, undoubtedly, they're gonna introduce Miles Morales, and
Completely agree.
whether what happens there, whether Peter is
Killed or
it's hard to killed. Oh man, that'd be rough. But
yeah. I, I
whatever the case may be.
I think they're gonna
Uh,
handle it. because I completely agree, and I want to before you jump into
Yeah, no, go
Toby
no,
and
go
Andrew.
ahead. Yeah, that's fine.
I completely agree. I think the next Tom's coming back for this next trilogy. Like I said, I think he's gonna take like a year off, be done with it. And again, a year from acting is a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
But the he'll essentially, I think the first movie at the end of the next one, Spider-Man 4, um, whatever it's called, will meet Miles Morales,
yes,
and then he'll be a part of the second one, not a big one, and then in the third one he'll be a big part. And at that point, at that moment in time, I think because I think they want to keep the door open for Tom, I'm assuming they'll say, "Hey, you go retire or be the Spider-Man for the world, and Miles
yeah,
Morales is going to protect New York City now." And I think
right,
that's the way it's going to go. I 100% agree with you. Like, it's going to be a lot like the games. I mean, it's the perfect narrative story to kind of
yeah,
follow. With the Miles Morales Spider-Man game that came out like last year, Spider-Man went on vacation and Miles
yeah.
protected the city. So like hey, that's if that's what you're gonna do it. Um, that's my guess. But yeah, let's go back into Toby and
Okay. Toby, so Toby and Andrew, what's the future for them? I mean, it's pretty clear that Andrew could, just age wise, he and his trilogy didn't, or his
I
duology
yeah,
didn't
I
end too
I
long
got
ago.
some I got a theory about Andrew.
He can totally keep doing this.
Yeah,
I would, and after this film, I mean, arguably, dude, honestly, he he was he
he stole
killed
the
it.
show.
He fucking
He
stole
he,
the show.
he was
He was given some of the
better than
greatest
Toby.
lines. Ah, yeah, yeah, he was.
I hate to say it,
He
but
was.
he was better than Toby. It was
I'm fine. I'm totally fine with that. To be
me
honest,
too.
I'm
Me
totally
too.
fine because and that's why I love about why I feel like they really dialed this in. Toby didn't need to do anything different. He is the
Correct.
pantheon of
Yeah,
Spider-Man. All
that's a
he
good
needed to
point.
do
Yeah,
was show the fuck up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
That's
a good
all we
point.
cared about. It's
Oh
all we
man.
cared about. Like
Yeah,
he cemented himself so well. He didn't need to do goddamn thing. But
correct.
but but fucking Andrew, dude, came in and it was like we were seeing his Spider-Man for the first time again.
Completely agree.
He
I
just
I don't
brought
remember
it.
his Peter Parker being like that. He was more
But it was
his
it
Peter
was in
Parker was
line with
art
it, and then it went further. Like, oh
his
yeah,
Peter
like
Parker was a little it kind of course corrected a little bit. Because I think the
a
biggest
little bit,
complaint
yes.
and for for the two people that watch this show, me and Ed, we'll get into the ranking of all the Spider-Man films at a later date, probably next month. Well, it's fresh on our heads. But
Yeah, we'll see.
um yeah, your biggest complaint about Andrew's Peter Parker is that he's too cool, right? He's a really kind of cool looking emo
My
dude.
bigger issue with Andrew's thing is the biggest thing wasn't cool. If there was a list of
Oh,
my problems with Andrew, it would be that he was a dick. Like, Spider-Man
oh,
shouldn't be a dick. And I didn't
that's
like
a good
that.
point. Yeah, yeah,
The dick
that's a good
part is
point.
like that's not Spider-Man at all.
Yeah,
The coolness, I'm like, when he's Spider-Man
it
and
almost
he's
works
being
perfect.
cool,
Yeah,
I like that. That's
yeah,
fine because it makes sense. Like no one can see him. So
right,
it makes sense for him wanting to be cool without his face being
right,
shown.
right.
That's fine. And I love how like now you see it even more than before that like he does it in his mannerisms too. He's a
Yeah,
cool Spider-Man. He doesn't look half the
yeah,
time where he's like he's about to
yeah,
swing and
yeah.
he just like kind of does this shit, this like
Yeah.
Michael Jackson fucking whipping.
Yeah,
That's so
dude.
cool.
I
That's
think
so
that
cool.
yeah, when I said cool, I meant Peter Parker, not Spider-Man. Spider-Man's
Oh, okay,
supposed to be
yes.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
even
uh,
yeah, even as Peter Parker, yes, he's
his
too cool as
entire
Peter Parker.
first interaction with Ned and MJ
Yes.
was course corrected. It was
Yeah.
brilliant. He was like,
Yeah.
I have to, are you kidding me? I have to walk across the thing. And then she asked him, can you get the
Yeah.
spider web? And he goes, yeah, I'll get the spider
Sure.
web for you.
Okay.
And it was,
Yeah, he was
that
more
was,
much more humble.
yeah, the director,
Yeah.
I don't know what Mark Rubb's done since the Amazing Spider-Man films. I don't really give a shit.
Kind of nothing.
So like,
Nothing
and I
of
don't think
note.
he was clearly the wrong guy to be doing it.
Yeah, he was
Um,
not the right guy to do it.
but John Watts knew what he wanted from Andrew Garfield, and it worked.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but anyway, let's get back to the point here.
And I think Andrew did too.
Yeah,
Remember they had that whole exchange about that tongue in cheek exchange like I'm kind of lame. I fought a dude in a rhino suit. I mean, oh my
yeah,
god, that whole thing was so great and he calls him
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
god damn it.
beautiful,
So
right?
perfect. Yeah.
And we'll get
Great
to
writing.
after this, after what we think is next for those
Yeah.
two. We're gonna jump into some of our favorite parts of the movie.
Yes. Oh, so many.
But let's. What do you think is next for Toby and
Yeah.
Andrew? What do you think?
I mean, I don't think Toby, man. Look, I
Hmm.
love the guy, but I mean, he's showing his age. I uh, I would don't get me wrong. There would be nothing that I would love more than to see Toby again
I
as
don't think this is
Spider-Man.
the last time we're seeing him.
Dude, I hope you're fucking right. Do
I,
do,
so
do I think they'll do something with him? Like, what do you mean? A full movie or
I don't know about a
not
full
a full
movie,
movie?
but I think we could potentially see him come back in the next Spider-Man. I think we could potentially, very, very, very potentially see Miles Morales be introduced to Toby. I think we could see
Mm.
that, and I think because the reason I think that is simple. I think that maybe, just maybe, the way Marvel's going in this new phase is they're going toward a Secret Wars event, an event where
Yeah,
the Earths
yeah,
are crashing into each other
yep.
and the universes are going to kind of merge. So Toby's universe, where I think we maybe see Toby's swan song, and he goes, and Miles Morales is introduced that way. But I don't think Toby said yes to this to do 40 minutes of a movie. I think Toby Maguire said, and I've also read
Okay.
rumors that Toby Maguire said, "I want a multi-movie contract and a multi-movie
No.
guarantee."
You
And look, I
serious?
think, yeah, and look, what do we know is missing from these stupid, terrible
Wow.
Sony villain movies? You're missing Spider-Man.
You're missing Spider-Man,
You can't have a Spider-Man
obviously.
movie without a Spider-Man. And I think you're gonna see Andrew be the Spider-Man of that. I think Sony's going full Madam Web, Web of Shadow. I don't know what the fuck it's called. I just made that up. But like Madam Web, Spider Verse
It's not bad.
nonsense. Um, because
But
I think they're going that
how
way.
do infrastructurally though? That's like I love the idea.
Okay,
Infrastructurally, how does that work? You're telling me that they're gonna give Andrew a whole new trilogy,
maybe not a trilogy, but I'm saying maybe Andrew
his own
shows up in
film, or they all
at the end of
is it
this
all a
movie. We see
Spider
Venom go
Verse?
back to his universe, right? And
Yeah,
they've been saying, oh, you're going to see Tom Hardy in a future Spider-Man film. What if they're
obviously.
saying you're going to see Tom Hardy in take on Andrew Garfield?
I mean, I love it. Why? I mean, why not? But I mean,
I mean, they're only unfortunately they burned the villain you would want them to use in that movie, which would be Carnage. But they can make another villain. I don't know.
I
But
just feel okay.
I just don't think it's the end for either of them. I think it. Do either of them get their own new full movie? Maybe not. I would back off that claim 100%. But I will say I'm 98 to 99% sure we'll see Toby again and we'll see Andrew again. Whether that's in the next Venom film
I
or
agree
whether
with
that's
you.
in a solo film or whether that's even in an Avengers film. We could see fucking Toby
I
in Multiverse of Madness. I think, and this is going along with rumors I've read, and I can only go by based on the rumors I've read with the Spider-Man rumors, which were all true almost, which is kind of
they were
crazy.
pretty. To be honest, they were pretty much all true.
There was
Yeah,
essentially a section I read that was basically word for word what happened in the fucking movie at one point.
yeah.
So,
Oh shit. Okay.
um, which I shouldn't have read, but curiosity kills. Anyway, um,
I
yeah,
think
the rumor said that Andrew was very happy to come back, and Toby was saying, "I'm not coming back for this 45 minutes. If I'm coming back, I'm coming back
okay.
for more than one."
Okay. Look,
But that's what I think.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if tomorrow fucking Sony releases a superhero slate and it's Amazing Spider-Man 3 or whatever the fuck it is, or Spider-Man 4,
Spider-Man
which is
versus Venom, some
it's
crazy
just
shit like
something,
that.
yeah, some crazy shit. I don't think they can. I don't think they could do that too. I don't think they would do a direct continuation. I don't think it would be a Amazing Spider-Man 3. I think you're right. I think
I agree
it would have to deal with
with the
Morbius, with Venom, with
yeah,
all that. It would have to be interlinked.
and I
And
keep going because I have another thing.
it just maybe, but damn, that's a lot of things to juggle now. Like it
So
depends on what you're promising. Like what are they promising? That Andrew's gonna be? Is it a full movie? That
right,
seems
well,
unlikely.
it's a good
But
point.
then would Tom have to be there? Like what amalgamation of the
But
characters that are now in this soup are gonna have to be in that movie to one, justify that they're in it, and two, uh what does it project about where they go, because that's all what this all is about now, is like, where do they go from here? It can't
I
just be a
agree.
cameo.
It is a
Yeah,
lot to kind of, prioritize and put into a nice, neat order. It is
yeah,
100%. But I think that with Multiverse of Madness and this last year of things you've seen Loki, 100 different variants of Loki appear in that
true,
show.
true.
You've seen the trailer now for Multiverse of Madness. You see it's breaking. Um, uh, Shades of what happens in Westview. Like there's Shang-Chi. You have this new realm,
Realm.
Eternals. They're basically going out and discovering where everybody came from, I guess, essentially. So like you're reaching this moment of the MCU and Sony in particular at the end of that movie, Tom Hardy is transported into the MCU and then he's transported back at the end of this movie.
Yeah, which I thought
Like
was really funny.
yeah.
I
And
love that.
so, you know, y- you're
Okay,
reaching this like moment where like multiverses are crashing and multiverses are starting. You're you're opening infinite possibilities, and I think once we get to Multiverse of Madness and that movie comes out, I think Marvel's waiting on that to release the next slate, and Sony's
of
also
course,
probably waiting
100%.
on that to release the next slate,
Yes, yeah.
saying, "Hey, your multiverse is a lot bigger, and your worlds are a lot bigger." And I agree. How do you make each movie stand apart? What's the difference? What's the catch? But yeah, I don't think they're done.
I don't think okay. At the end of the day, I think you're absolutely right. They're gonna. I do think hundred
Mm,
percent they will be back. The
right.
capacity is something I'm completely like. I
It's
don't
up in
ever
the air.
think it
I
will
agree.
be full movie. It's not full movie shit. That's probably not gonna happen.
Hmm.
But in Avengers level stuff,
Right.
in smaller roles in the Morbius and the Sony verse, for
Hmm.
sure. Yeah, I 100%. And this actually leads me into something that I was that I where I know absolutely more than likely going to happen is last night I was watching Screen Crush. I was just watching, like Easter eggs and shit from the movie that I might have missed. And one of the most interesting things
Hmm.
was that, and again, we're not and anybody there. We're not comic book nerds, so I watch Screen Crush and all that because they are the masters, and I like reading about this. Uh,
Right.
in Screen Crush, they were talking about how in the scene where Strange, what's the word for it? Astral project puts Tom in astral projection.
Right.
Um, Peter,
Peter.
he's able to move the box,
Right.
right,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
keep it away. And Strange is like, well, how the fuck are you doing that? Okay, if nobody knows the comics or anything, everyone was confused in that moment. I think
Hmm.
even us. Where you did you
I didn't know. I thought
and
maybe it
you've
had
ever
something
read
to
this
do with
about
his
this?
Spidey sense
Okay,
or something.
okay, it does. So
Yeah.
here's what's cool. So apparently in the comics, um, the Spider-Men across all the universes are actually connected to each other via a mega web. I forget exactly the name of it, but it's like this metaphorical and also technically physical web where through space-time every Spider-Man is connected to each other using their basically their tingle, right?
Yeah.
And so what and this is what why I think they hit it on the head here. In the comics, every time a tingle is to depict his tingle, it's like a wave, right? It's
Hmm.
like a little
Yeah. Yeah.
sperm wave or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Let's not do that
yep.
again. We'll go there. Sure.
It's it's depicted that way. And in the movie, I noticed this when he's out, you can see a wiggle around his head, Tom's head, Peter's head. You do. I saw it. It was different from. I noticed it. I'm like, was that? And I found myself thinking, was that in Doctor Strange? Did like Doctor Strange have that same sort of wiggle around his head? I
Definitely
was
not.
like, whatever. I forgot about it. I was like, fine, whatever. It's probably just an updated version of it.
Right.
And then he brings it up oh, in that moment, he's probably accessing his tingles. He's accessing that mega web tingle, and that's the reason why he's like moving it because he's still actually technically tethered to his body in that moment, and
Yeah.
either him or other Spider-Men are reacting to encouraging him to try to get away from Strange.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome. That just me like to me that shows for sure they're telling us there's way more Spider-Man. We're
Yeah.
gonna see the other Spider-Man again for sure. This
Yeah,
is not a, it's not a drill.
it's not ending.
So,
Yeah,
anyways,
we're
that
we're
I love that tidbit I found last night. I was like, oh my
yeah
god, yes, 100%.
we're jumping into Spider Verse. But I think that's a good end point. I think we agree. We'll see them again. I think
Yes, I think we're gonna see them again.
we obviously agree. Tom's not done. Yes, there's a lot. I'll say this
Yes,
last thing about Tom. Part of it does feel like he's trying to secure the bag, which Sony, Marvel, just give him the money. You know
yeah,
damn well this movie's gonna make
hundred percent.
$1 billion. Um, I
This movie is. I mean, oh my god, I do. You, that's a good question, actually. Do you
do you
think
think
this?
it's good?
Uh, people are wondering if it's gonna break 200 mil. Um, in the next couple of weeks, people are a little bit iffy about it, just in terms of pandemic, right? I think
Yeah.
easily, if this movie came out and not in a pandemic, this would
Oh,
probably
this might be better than The Force
be
Awakens.
right, but 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it could definitely reach up to Infinity War Endgame numbers.
Well, it's beaten so
100%.
far. It's beating Infinity War.
I've heard that.
It's
Yes,
so it's
for
right now. It's
opening.
just under I think Force Awakens, which was it
Yeah,
was a big movie, not my type of movie,
yeah,
but a big movie. Um, so
maybe.
I think it's gonna do, and I think it's gonna have legs because you look at the movies coming out.
Haha,
There's really
legs.
nothing. Oh, pretty good. Yeah, it'll have eight
That's
legs,
good.
6 legs, 8 legs,
Eight,
8 legs.
eight.
I went to college anyway. Um, we I think it's gonna have some like serious legs, and I think it's gonna get there. I want to say now I think it'll reach 1 billion. Um, I
Oh, I
guess
really hope so.
things could change in 2 weeks. People could be very very scared to go to a movie theater, but my movie theater didn't look scared. My movie
Nope,
theater was
not
packed.
at all.
And
Mine was
hey,
packed and
I don't
full.
mind it. Get there, get to the movies, see a movie in a movie theater, enjoy the
Yeah.
experience. Um, Look, before we jump into favorite parts, I will say I don't love Thursday night screenings because I can't hear the movie. I'm gonna go see this
I know
movie.
you don't. I know you don't.
I have 2 tickets bought for 2 more showtimes, one tomorrow
I
and
know.
one the following week. And I already know I'm gonna enjoy the movie more the second time. Like Ed said it earlier in this episode, the first like minute of stuff Andrew Garfield said, I didn't hear a damn thing.
Me
And
either.
then like the next the 2 minutes Toby showed up, I didn't hear a damn thing. And then
Yeah.
when it was it, don't get me wrong, it was a cool experience. I loved it. I loved the movie. But like at some point I wanted to be like, yo, shut up. I'm trying to
Yeah, because we
listen.
need to hear.
Yeah.
I know.
Like,
100%.
when they're
100%.
on the clock tower or the I don't know, where they're at the school and you see them
Yeah.
the two of them
The
jump
clock.
down.
Yeah. The roof.
I couldn't hear anything because they were
Yeah.
cheering about them jumping down. I'm like, this is not a cheerful moment. The kid just lost Aunt May. He needs to hear them talk. I want to hear what they're saying.
I know. I know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
it's a cool experience, and it's definitely Endgame. This movie,
I
they
wanna quell
deserve it.
your fears. I'll quell your fears a little bit.
Go ahead.
I watched it a second time already.
Uh-huh.
I saw it 2 consecutive nights. I had to. I just needed to see it again. Fuck. Luckily, we got some tickets. But I was able to hear pretty much everything. No, it wasn't like insane sports yelling at this one, so I pretty much heard everything. In my perspective, in my opinion, it was nothing that they said this was
Super
like
important. Yeah.
super important. Like there was nothing
Yeah.
that they said it was like, oh my god, I didn't hear that.
Right.
So I think you're safe. But
Okay. Well, that's good.
100% watch it again because you should obviously hear what the hell they said. But yeah, dude, it
Yeah.
was Thursday night screenings, man. I could not hear a goddamn thing. And
All right.
again, I was one of those screaming out of my chair, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna blame anybody there.
Look, hey,
But
when Toby showed
for
up,
sure,
I reached over and I grabbed Olivia's leg because I was like, oh my god,
like you're having a heart
yeah,
attack.
because I was like, because I mean, obviously I was super excited, and then Toby
Obviously,
means so much to both you and I in the Spider-Man
obviously,
trilogy.
yes.
I was just like, he's back, he's fucking back. Anyway,
We should talk about that later too. I feel
yeah.
like we need to give a little context with the history. But anyways,
Absolutely. So like
yeah,
now let's well we can jump into that. Let's talk about our favorite moments of the film because
my
again,
God.
there's and we can also maybe bring up something we would want to change, something or like
Sure.
maybe not to want to change, but
I hear
let's
you.
also
Yeah.
talk about some of the narrative holes because there are a little.
Oh my
They
gosh.
take a little bit of
No,
liberties with a couple of
honestly,
things.
there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And that's the thing about this movie where like if you really want to nitpick about it,
You
it
could.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, it doesn't make sense.
Right. The biggest
But
one being
a
for
means
me.
to the end.
Yeah, it's a
whatever.
means to the
That
end.
was
But
fine.
before we jump into,
Yes, yeah.
well, actually, the biggest narrative hole for me is why these villains before they're dead, so now they're back alive, but why Toby and Andrew when they've continued being Spider-Man, like from their present time in their universe. It's very
Yeah.
strange. It's like,
Ah,
wait, that makes
no.
no sense. Also,
It
why
doesn't
the
hold up. It doesn't hold up.
why is Sandman all of a sudden here, but the other guys that are dead are what?
I mean, again, Venom. What's his name? Topher Grace Venom knew exactly who it was.
Yeah.
So he should have
Also,
definitely showed up. But
yeah.
okay.
Also, uh, it's
Yeah. No,
for the better,
I have no
but
answers for you.
it's for the better.
You're
But what do
totally
you?
right.
What the
So many holes, dude.
complete and total redesign of Jamie Foxx's character?
Yeah. He
That's
just goes.
that's the
It feels
biggest one
different.
for me.
Yeah. It feels different. The energy's different. I don't
Yeah,
know. The energy's different. Feels. I don't know. That's it. That's all.
yeah.
That's all. He just
But
feels
even
different.
that
I don't know.
interaction was great. Like we're all just
Yeah.
gonna stand here like I'm not butt ass naked.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. We're in.
The whole movie was like just moment after
It's fan
moment beating
service.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
As
was
soon
the
as
best
Toby and
fan
Andrew
service
come
of all
in,
time.
yeah, as soon as Toby and Andrew come in, it becomes just this insane fan service dump. I don't know another way to put it.
There's really no other
Yeah,
way to put
that's
it.
it.
Yeah.
Just a dump of fan
And
service.
the whole movie is honestly, it just is.
Yeah,
It's just
and
but
yeah.
on purpose.
I'll go now
Go
that
for
we've
it.
talked
Go for
about
it.
some of the narrative holes.
I
You
want to
know,
hear
like
yours. I want to
Electro
hear
being
yours.
redone. But yeah, some of my favorite moments. First and foremost, um, the swinging when all three of them are swinging, they're running off the rafters, and they go and then they land. The hero land.
Yeah.
The you're just like I was losing my mind. I was
They
I've never in a movie stood up. The closest I've ever been to standing up
was that
was
moment.
when well no, actually before that was when Thor arrived in Wakanda in Infinity War. That was the closest
Okay.
moment I
Yeah,
came
yeah. That's
because I
also a
wasn't
good one.
I thought Thor was going to Titan. But anyway, this moment had me like I was like trying to grab the bottom of my seat so I didn't jump out of my chair because I was already grumpy with all the people screaming and I just was like I don't want to be one of those
Yeah.
people, but oh my god. So that was like one of my favorite moments. Andrew saving MJ was uh, damn near tear jerking for me.
Oh, I
I
cried.
was like on the verge of like, oh, that got my heart. Um, and then like just the lines that Toby and Andrew and Tom had throughout the movie. Um, I told Olivia before, and I told you before, if there's not a line that says, "Is this stuff coming out of you?" by someone
Yeah.
in the movie, I would have been upset. So I love that that happened. The whole conversation where they're talking about, so how do you make it? And he goes, I don't make it. It's like breathing. It's just breathing. And then when Toby's laying on the ground, and he goes, "It's not the first time I've been stabbed. I'm good." And then like another tear jerking moment for me is because you just never thought you would see it.
You
I
should
just
start
never thought I
crying
would
right
see
there.
this moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Toby and
The
Andrew
back.
side by side, hanging on, holding on to each other, and
Yeah.
as Tom walks away, and then Andrew goes, "You're in excruciating pain, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yeah."
I am.
Oh, just but like both of them smiling as he walks away, like
Yeah.
that made my heart like. It
Yeah.
sounds so nerdy, but it made my heart like skip a beat because I was like,
Oh,
that
really?
is one of
Really?
the coolest moments I've ever seen put on film. The the OG Spider-Man, the guy that like I was what like 11 or years old when the first Spider-Man
About
movie came
11.
out that I
We were, yeah.
absolutely loved, and then
Yeah.
this other Spider-Man who yeah sure I didn't love it as much, but I could respect him as a Spider-Man. Just
Having that moment.
all those moments were so good. Um, but you go with some of your favorites.
I mean, dude, I mean, how yes, of course. I mean,
All of those.
pretty much Toby. Well, obviously, when Toby and Andrew come out, that's just that is now going to be in the pantheon of
Yes.
I don't even know, maybe all time, even just Hollywood movie moments, because that's just who knew that was ever going to happen again.
Right?
So that,
Exactly.
yeah, like because that was it. That was the moment that everyone
Mhm.
knew that they were that all their answer their questions were answered and that they already knew was probably going to happen, but it happened. It's not something we thought we'd ever see, and it
Mhm.
happened. And so that was it. For me, actually, the more I watch it, the Andrew catching MJ is
Ooh,
getting to be really, really up there because
that's mm,
one, because of Andrew's acting, the fact that he, I think back to that moment because one, it again, this is a Spider-Man that we didn't hate, but
right.
the stories and all that just was fine. We
Yeah,
never really think
especially the
twice
Amazing
about it
Spider-Man
half the time.
2. Yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
fell flat, but yeah.
But arguably, yes, Gwen dying, and that whole moment for Andrew was obviously his biggest,
Right.
um, emotional arc in that not in that movie and in his whole thing. It was his
Mhm.
biggest regret, and arguably one of the most painful things that any of the Spider-Men have had to deal with.
It
So
absolutely
the
brutal.
fact, that they gave him that moment back, and then the moment he sees what he had done, he just starts to cry.
Yeah.
It all comes, it just, you see it all in his whole performance, that the regret, the happiness, just, it gets me every time.
Yeah.
I'm crying basically in both times I watch the film. I'm basically crying nonstop from when Toby enters to the end of the fucking movie, and I'm
Yeah.
not kidding. I have a
Yeah.
major headache after this movie every time.
Yeah.
But
Um,
that moment right there gets me
yeah.
really going
Uh,
because goddamn, is that just, you rarely ever get to see a Spider-Man get his second
Emotional like
chance.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you rarely ever get that a
Right.
Spider-Man gets
Yeah.
that redemption, that
You
moment.
know,
And
and that's kind of where the movie succeeds, right? Because
oh
they
man,
all get the little bit of a second chance.
every single one. Yeah. That's what, again, it's why the movie is so good, even just on a narrative level. Well, I mean,
Right.
aside from the holes, I mean, whatever, but
Again,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
story is so worth. The story itself is so worth to be put up in the greater Spider-Man stories, because
Yeah.
it's a story about like
Yeah.
basically trying to erase. It's not just Tom who's trying to erase
Past
the
mistakes
memory,
or yeah.
the memory of all the villains too.
Yeah.
It's about having everybody forget who they were when they were doing their things,
Yeah.
and to come back home again.
Yeah.
And
And I
ironically, the story actually becomes about Tom not being
right.
able to go home, because
Right.
at the end of the movie he literally cannot
Right.
go home. Like,
Right. And I
like the fucking themes of this movie were
yeah.
just so good. This is
Yeah.
why, like, John Watts really, and the whole team, took this whole thing to a next level with this
Yeah.
movie, separate from the rest of the home trilogy. Like, it
100%.
all works so
Right.
fucking beautifully.
It was great. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Um
So
the
that
the
moment was big. Oh, go.
the because I realize I focus so much on Spider-Man's and that the
Yeah,
Green Goblin line, and I can't remember the exact line. You've seen it twice. Maybe you could say it for me. But
go ahead.
where he basically says, "You have the power to do something, but you're too weak to do it."
Yeah, something. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, something
Like
like that.
that
It is
line,
like,
that line right there, I was just like,
ooh,
"Oh,
Goblin fucking
that's
knew how to push buttons. And
oh,
one of my favorite scenes, actually, I'll say, is the Goblin and Tom fight in the
oh yeah,
apartment.
yeah,
Holy shit, that was way more brutal than
right,
I thought it was ever,
right,
that it really needed to be. But
right."
like with Tom, it was like a Joker Batman moment, because
It
he's like
was,
freaking like giving him the elbow in the face, and he's just laughing. He's just fucking wanting this. He
yeah,
wants him to fucking, he's just taking it. And
yeah,
then when he fucking body slams him through 4 floors. I
yeah,
mean, I saw a new. I mean, again, Goblin in this movie was a next level, like just next level.
yeah,
Who thought, after Willem gave us that iconic performance, what, 20 years ago,
yeah.
he fucking comes back. He does his own stunts. I don't know if you know this.
I
He
did know
did
that.
all his own
Yeah,
stunts.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
did know
him, whenever you see his face, that's fucking him. And then that whole fight scene was so good. Like, I
yeah,
was just on the edge of my seat. I mean, I knew Tom wasn't gonna die, but Jesus Christ, it was so brutal. It was
it
so
was,
brutal.
it was
So
insanely
it was
brutal. It was
insane.
like the
Oh,
from the moment it
I fucking
starts
love
when
that
he
scene.
punches him and he hits the stairs and the stairs are super dented. I was like,
Yeah.
we're about to see something we've haven't seen in many
I
Spider-Man
even
movies.
Yeah, exactly. This is the first time in any of the Spider-Man films I thought, like, of course he's not gonna die, but goddamn, he must be in fucking pain. Just
Yeah,
this
he
is
was
he must be fucking
beat to
feeling it, because
brutal,
he's
absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it was like fucking born, like Jason fucking Bourne level. Like, cause there's in that moment, you're just like, wow, they're really going at it.
Right.
And I also, besides that moment, honestly, that whole, I wouldn't even just encapsulate the fight. The moment that the tingle starts through the end of that scene,
Oh, yes.
the tingle moment, also again, like the beauty of that, the use of the vertigo shot in that scene,
Yeah.
and it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So good, because we
Yeah.
never see Tom's tingle in that way pretty much entire his whole trilogy. The fact they used it in that moment really capitalized the whole. He's in the room with fucking five villains, the greatest
Yeah.
villains of Spider-Man, and one
It's,
of them is like the greatest of them all.
yeah.
And it
Which,
capitalized just how fucking dangerous
yeah.
Goblin is.
Yeah.
And then again, then the fact that it just goes into this brutality is just like that whole scene was just so well crafted. So that was
Mm.
one of my favorite parts in the entire film.
What
I always love that part. Conan
what
comes
did
out.
you think of the with great responsibility comes great power? So with great power comes great responsibility.
I need to tell you. So when that moment happened, when Aunt May,
Died.
I think it might be the first time that she speaks those words
It is.
in the history of Spider-Man. I'm not 100% sure.
Ooh, that I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to speak for that. In the comics, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the first time I think on film, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
that she's the
Mm-hmm.
one who delivers the line. There was an audible. There was both an audible cheer and gasp when she said it, and I realized why.
Okay.
It happens later. You realize every time that in at least in the films that these people say that line, they die. So when
Mm,
she said it, everyone understood. Oh, she's about to die.
right.
Like not only did she say the great line, but she was
Right.
about to die. So I was like,
Right.
I didn't even catch on that. I was like, oh shit. So yeah, that's tied to that in this
Yeah.
universe. It's like almost it's this inciting incident in every single Spider-Man's lives that
Yeah.
once their loved one says that line,
Yeah.
they're likely to die.
Yeah.
And so
It
yeah,
it worked for me.
that also gave me chills.
Um, it worked for me. I liked it. Um, I knew she was gonna die. The moment
Me too.
that
Yeah,
they
we
fell
called it I
into
think
that,
before
yeah, and the moment she fell into
into the
the
lobby.
lobby, I was
Yeah,
like, that's it. She's
that's it.
gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I liked it. I do. There is, as
Small
a
gripe. This is a
nerd,
small gripe now. Yeah,
there is a little bit of a gripe for me with all of this
go
because
for it. Yeah,
she talks about how all we do is help people, but like the other two movies, they don't say she works and helps people.
at feast. I mean,
Right.
she in Far From Home, she that whole beginning thing with the check, that's a feast thing, right?
Right.
Honestly,
But like you
I
don't
don't
get
think
any
it
more
plays
than
into
that.
anything.
Right.
No.
You don't get much more
Well,
than that. And then all of a sudden she says, this is what we do. And I'm like,
right.
I get it. You're trying to make it more
It's not built
impactful.
well. I mean, obviously,
Right.
Marissa Tomei as May has been the least interesting because
I'd agree.
in
Sally
the first two
Field and
films, she's
yeah.
trying to be there. Just she's the hot aunt, which I
Right.
hated because
Yeah.
the Aunt May again. Even Sally Field was great in the
She was
Amazing.
great. Yeah.
She was great, and I mean I can't even talk the May and Spider Man trilogies pantheon
Amazing.
great. I mean
Right.
that's amazing. But but Marissa hasn't wasn't really given much. But at
Hmm.
least in this film, she was given a lot. She
Yeah.
was finally the May that Peter needed. And I agree with you. It could have been better built up too. Like it
Yeah.
felt a little odd that she was giving him this thing.
We jumped in and it's like, I get it. She is the May that we wanted to see. But
Yeah,
like, I think that if you build it better in the previous two films,
I
and again,
agree.
it's a very small
That's what I
gripe.
wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I
But
wanted to though. That's what I wanted to. I
that's
wish
my
she
only
was better.
problem. I do here with the nerd part of me, I really do wish Toby and Andrew said it to him.
Yeah, sure, right.
I
Oh,
think
right.
that would
That's
have
what you wanted. I forgot. You did want that.
would
I'm
have
sorry. Yeah,
died
I
if
remember.
like
Yeah,
again, if it works like we talked about previous in this episode,
yeah.
and they met him on that roof when it was raining watching J. Jonah Jameson, and Toby said those words to him. Said, my Uncle Ben used to tell me, with great power comes great responsibility. And then I would have just
Yeah,
I
that would have
probably
been.
would have been like you. I would have been in tears.
Yeah,
Like in tears, like
I agree.
I need a moment.
I agree.
Yeah.
You're right.
But
You're right. I agree.
other than that, I have no gripes with it. I thought it was really well done.
They
Yeah.
gave them way more for you to cheer on and cry about anyways,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly. There was so much
yeah,
more
it's
like
fine.
the gripes are
That
so
makes sense.
small in this film. It's really
Yeah.
hard to find
At least
anything.
they did that's what I loved about it, is that they at least did bring it back in that
Right.
moment on the rooftop. Like they
Yeah.
acknowledged, oh, that's when she's, and that, yeah, that's when everyone realized, oh
Yeah.
yeah, they all, they died right after they said that. So
An
at least there was
interesting
that.
thing.
I agree with you. Would have been
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
An
if they
interesting
had that.
thing, and I'm here to, curious to have your thoughts on this. So, it did
Yeah.
make me. This movie did make me think. Man, Tom Holland Spider Man hasn't had any good villains yet.
Wait, what do you mean? Okay, wait. Because you're saying because the
Green
villains in
Goblin's
this
not his
are
villain.
from
Doc
right.
Ock's not his villain. Electro's not his villain.
Yeah,
Even
I
Sandman
know.
was better than he was in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Even
Oh yeah.
the Lizard was better.
Mhm.
Like
They really made they
they,
yeah, they roughed out
they made
all the
his
edges.
villains look
They roughed
pretty
out
like
all the edges.
your villains suck.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
Thanos, but
I,
that's not your villain.
yeah, it's pretty clear. Tom's villains haven't been that great.
Right.
I think they had, again. I think they had the opportunity with Mysterio, which,
I think so
there's some
too.
good scenes, but it didn't really pan out to
Fell a little
be like
flat.
that
Yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
Vulture, again, they're not bad. Like, they were fine. They weren't
They're
amazing.
forgettable.
There was no Doc Ock. There was no,
Right.
clearly the best villains were from the original Spider-Man. So yeah, yeah, no, I mean, you're right,
Yeah.
but
But that's
whatever.
that's it. That's a small gripe. But anyway,
In this
I think
movie,
yeah.
fuck it, whatever. I
Any
do
more
want to talk about that though,
moments?
really quick,
Go ahead.
because dude, that's where the movie exceeded my expectations. Because
Okay.
one of the questions we had was like, okay, so they're gonna bring back Melina and Jamie and Defoe, but you also have the other ones back, and they're not gonna bring back the same actors. They fucking brought back every single actor,
Right.
bro, to
Yeah.
to, to replay their parts, and
Right.
I was like,
I didn't think it was gonna be
fuck
the same Sandman.
yes, yeah. I
Or
didn't
I
think it
didn't
was
think it was
gonna,
gonna be the
but what
same Sandman or Lizard.
that was a big question I had. I was like, so what are they gonna do? They're gonna have different voices? Like, I didn't understand. And then the
Yeah.
moment Sandman pops, I'm like, I was here. I was like, is it Thomas Hayden Church? I'm like, that's fucking Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah.
And then Lizards to say Rise Iphans,
Yeah.
and then you
Clearly
actually get to see. Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. No, no.
No, I was just gonna say, and then they cleverly reuse footage from Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3 to actually show that it's actually the Flint Marco. It's Thomas Hayden Church right at the
Yeah.
end, and
Yeah.
Rise Iphans. So I was like, oh my
I
god, like they fucking. I didn't think they were gonna go there because
neither did
either
I.
due to legal issues or whatever, and they
Yeah.
and they did. They just withheld it,
Yeah.
and I love that. Like
Yeah.
fuck
They did
yeah,
a
like give us those surprises, dude.
I mentioned this to you earlier. I do wish they were able to keep this Endgame level secret because we knew nothing about Endgame
Yeah,
going into it. Absolutely nothing.
yeah,
The first trailer was literally 2 minutes
yeah,
of a 3 hour long movie, and most of that footage was from the opening sequence.
yeah.
So, I do wish they kept it that secret, but I am glad they were able to keep these two guys secret. And yeah, you're right. It's pretty clear they reused footage from Spider-Man 3 and the Amazing
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man. They
it's the
they
same.
obviously could get their voices, but they couldn't
Yeah, they did not
couldn't
reshoot.
schedule them to
They
show
should
up.
not yeah, which makes me wonder though why that had to be, because they spent more money having uh Sandman be entirely CGI the whole time
Right.
rather than get Thomas Hayden Church back. And
My guess is they just couldn't
I
fit it in the schedule. That's it.
I guess, but is
That's
Thomas
my
Hayden Church even doing anything? Let's be honest. I don't think he's doing
may,
much. I think he
maybe they
totally could.
maybe he wanted a lot more money to come back in person, and they said, "Well, how about we just bring it back in
Maybe.
voice for
I mean, to be honest, I think what it is star power.
yeah,
Uh Jamie Foxx, Alfred Molina, and Willem Dafoe are still
we
hot
know
on
who they are."
Hollywood. They do a
Yeah,
lot of shit. Thomas Hayden Church and Rise Iphans, not as big.
right.
So they keep them at that bay is my
Yeah,
assumption. That being said, I really thought they just weren't even going to be mentioned at all. But
yeah,
I give such kudos to Sony for getting them
yeah.
all
I agree.
back.
I agree.
Fucking, because that just took it to the next level. I was like,
Yeah,
wow, this is again. We knew the three were coming,
yeah.
but the whole group was back. Fuck, man, I was losing
So
my shit. I was
th-
like, this is fucking unprecedented. This is an end game level like end
it
game
is.
level event. It really
Yeah,
is. For those who maybe for those who don't know Spider-Man, fine. But for those who have been following Spider-Man all the MCU, this is an end game level fucking movie in
this
the
movie
production.
could potentially mean more than Endgame to a lot of people because Endgame,
I
yeah, you had 10 years of
it
Marvel
means
to build
honestly,
up to that.
it means a lot to
Right.
me for sure.
But
To
this
us, I'm sure.
but yeah,
Yeah.
but to this is you're looking at, like teenagers and kids that watched the original Spider-Man, that watched Toby and saw
Yes.
that, man, look at what superhero movies can be. And now you have them in the
Yes.
modern day superhero genre, and that's why this movie, I think, can hit this $1 billion mark in this pandemic era, even when
Yeah.
people are scared, because they just want to, like, I guarantee you, I told you this yesterday, by Sunday we're going to be seeing trailers and they're going to be in it. They're going to say you can't
Not
miss
this
the
Sunday.
biggest.
You think it's be this Sunday?
The first
Okay.
Sunday of Endgame, we saw
All right.
all the heroes running to the thing, and
You're not wrong.
me and Olivia, I remember we saw the commercial and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, they
They
just blew
showed
the
it.
whole movie."
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
didn't hurt the movie because the movie went on to gross $2 billion. So,
No, yeah.
um, yeah, I think they show them, and the more they show them, they're gonna get a little bit better and better and better. And Olivia, she, her parents aren't big fans, but she
Yeah.
was talking to her dad about it, and her dad got excited because she said, "Toby's back," and he goes,
Yeah.
"Toby's back," because he
You're
loved
right.
the
You're right.
Spider-Man film.
You're right.
And then
You're
he
right.
goes, "And William Defoe's back."
They
William
know
Defoe's back.
anybody who gives a shit about Toby and Andrew
Now
will have seen it this
and
weekend.
now you go get the new people,
There's no
and
way
more
anybody who
people.
was like needing to know did
Yeah,
not see it this
dude,
weekend.
it's
So
gonna
you're
be
right. You're right.
it's gonna
You're
be
right.
huge. But I think that's why this
I
movie will
hope so.
hold more. Like, it's obviously not as big of an event, but it's gonna be special to a lot of people in a way that Endgame wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think the next couple Marvel movies are going to be big events. I think
Yep.
Multiverse of Madness is going to be quite big and quite, like, uh universe shaping. And I think,
Let's go there because I think what they did here, and I did hear inklings about it. I did
yeah,
hear inklings that they were possibly going to actually show a full trailer for
yeah,
Multiverse of Madness, which they fucking
did,
did,
yeah,
and it felt like fucking Christmas came so
oh
early this year
yeah,
with that. I was like, "Are you shitting me?"
yeah,
They just like gave us everything. Like it won't. This movie doesn't stop. So this is the first time I think since the original Avengers movie that they showed a trailer
yeah. It is,
for the next
it is,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, at the end of Captain America, First Avenger, they showed the original,
Avengers
the
trailer,
first
yeah,
look at Avengers,
yeah,
and they did it here for both like
yeah,
Multiverse of Madness. That tripped me out so hard. I was like, oh my god,
yeah. It was
how is
great.
this not ending? How is
Um,
this just keeps giving?
it was
So good,
so
dude.
so let's if we want, do we want to talk about Multiverse of Madness, or do we
A
want
little
to
bit,
wrap
yeah,
up?
yeah, no,
A
let's
little
just
bit,
a
a
little
little
bit.
bit.
It's
Okay,
part
a
of
little
this
bit.
experience. We got to
So
go
yeah,
over a little bit
so yeah,
for what we've seen.
holy effing balls, that movie looks off the rails.
It looks so
Um,
good.
all of a sudden, if you haven't seen the trailer, it's probably going to drop by New Year's Eve. But it comes out next May. What if? I know a lot of people that haven't liked What If. What if it has now become probably essential watching for MCU fans?
Oh,
Because
obviously now,
if
yes.
it wasn't already, it now is. And when you see the trailer, you'll know why. Go ahead.
Well, so I was just gonna say I was watching Screen Crutch, and a bunch of other like new rock stars and all that
Yes,
last night.
of course, of course.
Some people don't know for sure if that is
Strange Supreme, or
Strange Supreme from What If, or if
mm,
it just is an evil. It
version,
is that kind, but it's not
another
from the
different one.
What If version. I would like to think it is the one from What If.
So
I
would
would
I.
love to. I'm
That's
pretty.
my thought.
It's my thought. That's
Yeah.
the first thing that came to my mind when I saw it. I'm like, oh shit! It's the one. It's the Strange from What
Supreme
If.
Strange. Strange Supreme. That's
Super
it.
Strange Supreme. So we'll see. I don't know. Anyways, keep
Yeah.
going because I
But
just want to say that
but
because
the whole
that
trailer
for sure.
is, it's basically as advertised. It looks like everything is breaking, and I I've been wrong. I don't think it is Wanda that breaks the multiverse. Does look like it was Doctor Strange, and it does look like it was this movie, which brings in uh, a question, because how much changed? Remember, COVID went and kind of messed up this release slate, and Multiverse of
It did.
Madness was supposed to come out before No Way Home. Now it's switched around. how much of these scripts changed and all of that. But that's a question
W-
for after we see the movie.
Well,
But
after
overall, yeah,
you know,
y-
who knows
y-
why they did these reshoots for
yeah,
multiverse, but it could
right.
part of that could have been there for sure, hundred
You
percent.
see, you see
I would bet
Mordo.
money for sure that they
Yeah,
changed a little bit for sure.
yeah, had
Yeah,
to, right? So you
had
see
to, had to.
new look Mordo, and they look like they're actually going to be working together. There
So
seems to
happy
be
they brought Mordo back
yeah,
with the
seems to be a
dreads.
bad Doctor
He looks even
Strange.
more he
Yeah,
looks more badass, dude. I love Mordo, and Chiwetel Ejiofor is obviously just
yeah.
fucking awesome, and I
Obviously, like Ed said, we're not comic book nerds. We can't give you a full breakdown, but um, there's lots of new reveals. I can't remember the big creature's name, but you see the big creature with the eye throw a
yeah,
fucking
the
bus
octopus
at
or
yeah,
something.
throw a
I think
bus
it was.
at Doctor Strange and
Yeah,
cuts through it in a very
pretty
cool scene.
cool, pretty
Yeah, it
cool.
just looks like this movie's going to be off the rails, and I think what Marvel's planning to do is just kind of go into this movie and go off the rails, and I hope people are, buckled up for it.
I think this is
Loki
where it opens.
showed it.
I
Yeah,
think the multiverse opens here.
yeah,
It would seem to make sense that this is
yeah.
where we're full
Here
multiverse.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
here's where this is like the start.
yeah, I think
Um,
the trailer was very cool. Obviously, it's the first trailer. It's not going to give away any
yeah,
story details. The
not
second trailer will give some of that away.
but
Um,
it was dark. I mean, the
yeah,
cinematography looked great.
Sam Raimi.
Very yeah, Sam Raimi. That's like my one of my biggest pulls right now for that movie is that it's fucking Sam Raimi doing a MCU film, and
It's going to be the trippiest MCU film we've ever seen.
I think
I
so.
think it is.
I hope yeah. I don't see how this film could be bad. And
Yeah,
it looks freaking gnarly.
it's gonna be nuts.
I am curious. I'm curious about how Wanda plays into this because she's gonna have her own. I think her whole finding her kids is gonna play into this.
I think so too.
I think ultimately what will happen is that they're both trying to navigate the multiverse.
Right,
But her whole thing is her kids,
right.
and I think obviously Strange is gonna be like, you can't. He's gonna find out what she's trying to do, and
Yeah.
he's like, you can't do that, Wanda. And Wanda's gonna
So
go, fuck you.
batshit. Yeah. So I think I think there is a moment in the trailer where I gave me some hope that I'm right. Not that it matters if I'm right or wrong, but I like being right.
It always matters.
It always matters. Who are we kidding? But there's a moment in the trailer where he goes to meet Wanda, and Wanda says, "I know about Westview. I'm really sorry." And he goes, "This isn't about Westview. This is about the multiverse." And Wanda turns back and looks at him, and he gives him the kind of look, and she's like, "Oh, what about the multiverse? I've never heard of that."
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Right.
Of
Oh
course I
no.
know what the multiverse is.
Clearly.
She's
Yeah.
like
Sure.
like maybe she did dabble in it and she did actually break it. But yeah, I think her trying to find her kids, I think they're gonna put together this ragtag team of people, Scarlet Witch, Mordo, and Doctor Strange, and they're gonna make everything worse.
Oh, 100%. It's gonna
Yeah.
get. I mean, this is obviously gonna be a bad. It's not gonna be good. This
No.
whole thing is gonna lead into a very bad situation for the rest of the. I think it's gonna paint exactly what the rest of Phase 4 is going to lead up
Yeah.
to. And I bet money for sure.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see early on in the movie the uh the uh the events of Loki.
Mm,
I
yeah.
mean, because I mean, arguably, is that when I mean that something happened. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's what with the timeline right now, right, is vague. We
Right.
know roughly when all these events are happening, but not exactly. But I think that moment within Loki is when we're going to see. I think we're going to have a bit of an explanation of that,
Right.
or it's going to be somewhat of an impetus for
Right.
some events here that's going to happen,
And
or it could it sh- and it, or it should link to what happened in No Way Home, and it should
right.
link to all the multiverse happenings that's been happening.
Right.
I think it's gonna come up here.
America Chavez, I don't know a lot about her. She's superhuman strength, super speed. One of her
Okay.
other powers is interdimensional travel.
Oh, interesting.
So, is she gonna be from this universe? Is she gonna be from?
She sounds like she has a lot of explaining to do in this
Yeah.
movie,
So there's
in
gonna
terms
be,
of like
you know,
how where
this.
she comes from and like how the fuck she got even here. I mean, she's a new hero. Hopefully they do her justice because that's wow.
Yeah.
Multi-dimensional travel, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's gonna get shit's gonna get off the rails, dude.
this
And
is
I think
another
it's.
2.5 hour movie. I mean, it has to be. I
I
would think.
think the next, and I think Thor. even though I mean, if you allow me to indulge,
Please.
he's going up against the God Killer. I can't remember his name. Gore, I think is his name. Gorr. And played by Christian Bale. For Christ's sake, come on.
Oh, is that who Christian? I didn't even know that.
And yeah,
I didn't know.
I
Oh,
think Thor
oh
becomes
God,
unworthy.
it's gonna be so good.
He can't wield
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir anymore.
Well,
I think he
wait.
loses his arm.
Oh
I
yeah,
think it's going
I
to
forgot
be
about
a
that.
very brutal movie, and I think it's going to change a lot of the universe as well. So I think the next few, and then obviously the one after that is Black Panther 2, which is going to be awful. Um, Not awful. It's going to be good, but it's going to be just hard to watch. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's not going to be
Sorry.
awful.
Well, when
I
you
just think
started off with that, I was like, oh, you're what? Wow,
yeah,
okay,
well,
you're
like
gonna hate it
even
already.
when I watched Infinity War the other day, a few weeks back, I was just like, oh, man, it's so sad right now to
Look,
watch it.
you already know that movie is gonna get a little bit of bias
A
for
little bit of a
sure.
boost, yeah. It'll be a
Even
99%
more so
boost.
than the first one because
Yeah,
obviously they're gonna throw it a
100%.
bone for Chadwick. You know that whole
Yeah.
thing.
So, yeah,
You
I
know,
think.
so
But anyway, that's our little thoughts on Doctor Strange. We don't have a lot of them, I don't think. Just the
not
trailer
really. I
was
mean,
great.
it was just so cool. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good, and
I
it's
think
glad
I
they
think
did
it'll
it.
be out to the public in a couple weeks. Um, I
Yeah,
do also think it'll be a little bit longer. I think maybe it'll be just
yeah.
maybe one or two more scenes there. Um,
I think I. You think that that specific trailer will be available to people?
no, I think it'll be a little
I feel
different.
like they're gonna wait. I think they're gonna wait until the
Mm.
movie gets a couple of month, like a month or two in or so, and then they'll do like a
Oh, you
version of
think?
that trailer, but lengthed
Mm,
out a little bit.
interesting,
I'd be
interesting.
surprised if we get something in January. I mean, I don't know,
I
maybe.
wouldn't. I would. So like, I always
Well,
tag
May. It comes out in
ABC.
May,
So
right? Or
right,
June? Is it May or June?
May
It's May,
because
right?
Thor comes out in
So 5 months.
June. Yeah, May 6th, 2022. And then Thor: Love and Thunder is right on its heels in July 8th.
Because there's gonna be Super Bowl coming up, and Marvel always shows up for
Um,
that.
yeah,
So maybe there's one on that day.
I was actually gonna say we
That's
see
Doctor
the
Strange.
first Thor at the Super Bowl,
Wow, Thor, you think so?
and I think we see um if you back it up just a little
Maybe.
bit, December 31st is the college football playoff.
Mm.
So a lot of people watch TV. I think we see it, and it's on ABC,
Okay. Okay.
Disney.
No,
I think
you're
we'll
right.
see it then. But
You're right.
yeah, I think it's going to be quite exciting this next year. But anyway,
I actually I want to give a I just since the end of the year I think I need to give an applause to Marvel for this year because they just besides Black Widow, uh, dude, they've killed.
they have.
Even I
And,
didn't like love What If, but I appreciate it now for what they're trying to do. It's not bad.
the way I
I think
look
it's
at
still pretty
Marvel
great, but
now is
everything, man.
I'm willing to give them just a little bit more leeway because they're building to
Absolutely.
something.
Yeah,
And I
I
think we're
have
going
the
to see a lot. Obviously, you know, we agree on Eternals. It was a very good movie that people
I
didn't
loved it.
understand or like for some reason.
I
And
was
this movie,
misunderstood for sure.
people people want something new in a superhero movie. You didn't really get that with Spider-Man: No Way Home, but it's the highest rated Spider-Man live action Spider-Man ever. So yeah, yeah, I think Marvel did an amazing job this year, and I think early on next year we can talk about our disappointments and our highs and our lows. But I think for this one, I think we should leave
But
it here.
overall, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they
yeah,
did a
No
great
Way
job.
Home. Go watch it.
Definitely more highs.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
go
please
watch No
watch
Way
it.
Home.
Yes.
Toby's back. Andrew's back. Matt Murdock is back, who you
Matt
literally almost
Murdock,
forget.
baby. Dude,
He's
people were
back.
cheering just as loud almost, I think,
Oh,
when Matt came on
the
screen.
stick when the
Just want
stick
to say
hit, yeah. And then somebody when he when he caught the brick, somebody just went, "Oh shit!"
that.
And I was just like,
I had a
I was
lot of that in
laughing.
my yeah, I had
I
a
was
lot
laughing
of
pretty
that in
hard
my
at that one. That one was pretty
yeah.
cool.
But
Yeah, Matt
now
Murdock
you know,
is
fucking Kingpin and fucking Murdoch, dude. Like that
the
whole
same
thing
actors, Charlie Cox and
is
Vincent D'Onofrio.
all that shit happened in the same universe, and it's
Yeah,
all dragging along with everything else. Fucking love it.
it,
Punisher up
it's.
next.
I hope so. Give me
Punisher,
John Berthnell.
dude.
Hopefully we see him again.
Let's go.
Uh, yeah, so many amazing moments in that movie. You just like we've said, you
It's
can
hard.
nitpick and
It's
find narrative holes, and it's not a perfect
oh,
movie.
there's a ton. None of it
But
makes
you're gonna
sense,
be
but that's
hard
fine.
pressed to find somebody that says it wasn't a fun or good movie because it was great. It was just
My fiance, but whatever, it's fine.
oh, not a fan, not a
She
fan.
has a different. Well, it's fine. She's not in the same realm as us in terms of movie knowledge. It's okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
You
The
can't win
movie
them
meant
all. Can't win them all.
yeah. So
Anyways, this was fun.
yeah, great
This is
episode.
great. Please watch No Way Home, and then yeah,
Yeah,
coming up, I'm sure we'll do a retrospective on all the Spider-Man films. I think we need to do that.
I think
Being
we need to do that.
Spider-Man
Yeah, I think we
fans,
have. There's a few
I think
weeks
we
in
should.
January where maybe not a lot is coming out that we can do that and do some
Oh
other
yeah.
stuff. So
Oh
January's
yeah.
kind of the
No,
dead
there's a
time.
lot of dead. Yeah, the dead
Yeah,
zone.
maybe
So
talk about
we'll do
some
a lot of
games
fun stuff.
stuff.
We'll do
Yeah,
some fun stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening,
Thank you.
watching, subscribing, all that jazz. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.